another special postseason BB Can show with Maddy. Oh my god, we are so excited. We have so much to get to on this show. But first, let me just let you guys know really quickly, if you want to see any of our shows back with the past house guests, they're over at yourrealityrecaps.com/bbcan. As well as all of the phone interviews too, people were asking, are over there. All the shows are over there, and it's where these shows will be after the fact as well. But you're watching live right now on YouNow, so make sure you become a fan here so you're alerted every time we go live. We have BB Can house guests on all week long. Paris is tomorrow, Kayla, Derek, Johnny, and Will for the rest of the week. So make sure you fan us here so you don't miss any of those. Of course, if you want to help support our shows, help us keep bringing you content for Big Brother 20, consider becoming a patron at yourrealityrecaps.com/patron. You get access to the patron-only Facebook group, prize giveaways, and of course, the after shows with the BB Can house guests like Maddy after this show. You can always do a one-time donation at yourrealityrecaps.com/PayPal too, which helps us not have to do ads on this show. But look, it's time for the lady you all want to hear from. It's Maddy!
Hello, everybody. Hi.
Maddy, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Eric, how are you?
I am doing wonderful now that we have you on here. You have no idea, Maddy. I feel like you were like the heart for the fans, I feel like this season.
I'm glad I was something.
Oh, you were so, I mean, look, I think it's, well, you don't even, before we get to that, let me tell everybody this. Again, spread the word, everybody. Square, megaphone, up arrow. Let everybody know that we're live right now. If you're in the chat room, share the show so that everyone knows that we're live. Of course, become a fan. And I also forgot to say at the start of the show, the #1 fan wins Maddy's autograph on this show. Currently, it's...
Include this. Can you see it?
What?
There we go.
Oh, what is that, Maddy?
It's the Catu. So there's a small story behind it, but you'll have to let me know if we have time for a small story.
Oh, Maddy. It's as if you're in my brain and knew where we were going to start on this show. Please, tell me your little cat story.
Okay, a little cat story. That's the story of my life, actually. No, I've traveled Canada as much as I can. Before this show, I really like doing it. So when I go places, whether legally or illegally,
okay,
I tend to draw this places or like on people's things that I meet and really like. And it's kind of like my little tag that I put everywhere. So it's in St. John's, Newfoundland. It's in Edmonton. It's in Yellowknife. It's all over the place. So I knew that the most exclusive place in Canada I could ever go was the Big Brother Canada house.
Okay.
And I know that, of course, they don't give us writing utensils or anything like that. So the only way I could get it into the house was physically on my skin. So I got tattooed on January 16th. I was having a day where I really felt like I might make it on. So I said, all right, let's get it on me. And that's the story.
You know that our BBUS people, they all carve their names in the back of the bathroom door. Like apparently,
no kidding,
the back of the bathroom door in the BBUS house.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you guys need to start carving your names in the door.
Right? Yes.
When you're back on
Jury House, there's this cat, but I won't say
her. Okay. Well, now look, Maddy, I feel like I'm really glad that you brought this up. Your cat is kind of where I wanted to start this show while we're waiting for people to send in their questions. Fans, you guys know the show is for you. It's your questions, so keep them coming. Put them in the chat room. Tweet us them. But look, Maddy, my favorite part of this season, hands down, had absolutely nothing to do with anything that happened in the house. I am not a cat fan, Maddy. I also should have started with that. I think cats are evil and they suck people's souls out while they sleep.
They pretty much do.
Okay, and I have proof of that right here. Now, we're going to have to go old school for a second, Maddy. Now, on the edited show, we'll have this much nicer. But for right now, so that you can hear it and see it, I would like to go down memory lane for 1 second. This interview that you had with Arissa. Let's watch, everyone, together.
Country, please say hi to Chelsea. She's right over there.
No. Chelsea.
Hi.
Okay.
Tiggs.
Okay, here comes Tiggs.
He's like, fuck this.
Okay. Okay, clawing. Okay, now wait 1 second. Now here's my favorite part. I love that you're going, you can put the cat down. Okay, let's put I think maybe you're hurting my cat. Maybe we could just put the cat, Marissa, can the cat go down? So I was like loving that, but then here is my favorite part of the whole thing. I'm just gonna leave it for audio. Here we go.
We're so happy Maddie killed it.
Okay, here we go.
And we can't wait for you to come home. Oh my god, he's attacking. Oh, he's biting me. He's so happy to see you.
He's biting me. He's so happy to see you. I lost it. I was like, cats are evil.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're evil. Okay, but is Tiggs at least cute? Is Tiggs at least a doggy-like cat?
You know what? He is more like a dog than a cat. He like, fetches and, you know, runs around and does all kinds of things. And, I mean, he doesn't want to get picked up sometimes, I guess. I have to honestly tell you, here at Reality Recaps, whenever we're all having a moment, like behind the scenes, we literally say, the cat's biting my face, it misses you. Like, that's literally what we say, right? Like, oh, the cat's clawing my face, misses you, though. Oh my god.
The best.
Chelsea's gonna watch us over and die laughing because they have an understanding, the two of them.
Oh my god.
I feel like with my absence it was a little strange.
I can't, but there are so many moments in there. I just love how the whole time, like, it's happening, you're like, you can put the cat down. Like, Arissa's trying to keep the thing going. You're just like, put the cat down now. Let's put it down. I think my cat's in distress.
Like, get off stage. You can go. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, I love it. All right, I want to start getting to some of the questions from your fans, what this show is all about, Maddie. I want to start with one of the most, let's say, controversial moments from this season, which you got from so many people on your side. I don't know if you've seen this yet or not, but Derek boasting about how he cheated off of you during the Shaw competition.
You know what? Everyone wants me to be like so mad about it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Big Brother gives us pretty detailed rules about a competition.
Right.
And when you're listening to the rules, you can also read between the lines of what is allowed based on what's not allowed. And it was not said that it was, you know, it was not a no-no to look at other people's answers. And there's different kinds of intelligence, and my self-awareness was it was crap. I mean, he doesn't need to be the smartest by knowing the answers. Being the smartest can also be paying attention to the girl who he knew the answer. So no shade for Derek. He did much better than I did in that last round if he figured that out. And I'd like to be mad. In fact, I dream about that Shaw veto almost every night. That was a tough one. But no, all's fair. So good job, Derek. Credit to him.
It set you up. I know you are a huge Kevin fan, although I don't know why. But I know that you are huge. Well, you know, Kevin's a little full of himself. I just think it's setting you up for your moment. Like, you are going to have your Kevin moment now. Like, that was his big arc of his storyline when he returned. Now you're going to get to return and overcome your Shaw competition.
Yeah, that would be absolutely ideal. Definitely, if I ever came back, it would be no secret that I'm a studier. So I better start winning really fast, or else.
You don't even need to start winning. I would just like to see you start tripping and hitting with signs. I would have hit Derek right in the head. I would have been like, oh, you want this photo? And start whacking him with it.
Well, there was a time, and I haven't watched any of the episodes except for the first one, which we watched together as a cast.
Right.
He was at the top of that slide, and my strategy for that competition is when I slid down that slide, I already knew where my picture was right away. And sometimes I'd go run somewhere else and be like, oh, geez, I'm not sure. Oh, I guess this one. But I always knew because by the time I left the top of that, I had realized which one I needed to find and then realized in the gallery where I needed to go. But Derek stood at the top of the slide at that point and didn't go right down. So I didn't look. I was like, go! And that was the time that I should have been just like, get out. But I was like not as aggressive. And then, that's when he got the Hamza picture and that's when shit went south.
Oh, Derek. All right, let's jump over to some, Destiny's in the chat room wants to know. So, Maddie, would you say that you voted for Paris to win or Kayla to lose?
Great question. That's awesome. So this is almost like a little bit of insider information. I'll toe the line of production, but generally, when you're going to make your voting statement, just to make sure nobody's repetitive, Big Brother has an idea of what you will say for your voting statement.
Right.
And you tend to have a separate one per potential winner. But mine was going to be the same no matter what. And I kind of got a little heat for that. They're like, oh, maybe pick a different one. And I was like, I can say that I'll have a different one, but I'm telling you right now that when I go up there, this is what I'm going to say. So you might as well just know. And I meant it. I wanted to vote with my head of who I felt like had the $100,000 game. And Kayla's game was amazing. It was incredible. And I've been dinged for like, you're jealous of her. And I'm like, obviously, like, hello, it was a great game. Anyone should be jealous. But I felt like the cumulative game that Paris played was what I voted for. So it wasn't for Kayla to lose by any means. It was for Paris to win. And I stand by that. We'll continue to do so.
Okay. And I agree. Like, when you left the house, you were kind of mentoring Paris in a way, which I thought was brilliant. I loved when you said to her specifically, you know, Kayla seems that she's not going to include the jury in her win. And you kind of told Paris, you need to let people know why they are a part of your game and a part of you winning. And I thought that was brilliant advice to give her.
Oh, thanks. I should have given myself some good advice to do the season, but here it was towards the end.
I think you gave yourself great advice. I think you just got a raw deal early on, kind of.
That's how it goes.
It's how it goes sometimes together. Bruno's Thumb says, who do you think you'll stay in touch with now that the game is over?
That's a good question. Thanks, Bruno's Thumb. I don't have the password to my personal account anymore, but I did follow you before this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And I had a weird glitch, and I unfollowed and followed random. So if it's not there anymore, it's due to that. Anyway, so to keep in touch, or to talk about keeping in touch, I would love to keep in touch with everyone that I can, and basically have been. Social media makes it pretty easy. I know that a lot of people want to hear that there's all kinds of drama and all this other garbage, but honestly, it's not really like that. I talked to Will on the phone today.
Oh.
Barbecue. Like, it was, yeah, it's all normal. The house is a place that doesn't exist anymore, and a lot of things happen there. And you get to decide how you're going to move forward. And you build personal relationships and game relationships in the house. But in real life, it's personal relationships that are your day-to-day. So I focus on those instead of any of the other.
I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with this every single show here. Like, Eric, we get it. I love that your cast all seems to, I don't know if you're all just pulling the wool over my, but all of you seem to really be getting along postseason. I mean, you all got along great in the house too, minus Ryan and Kayla, but they seem to have worked it out.
I mean, I know that it's like such a honor for all of us to be like, we really respect and love each other as people, but like we do. Hate to break it to you guys. They cast some relatively down-to-earth people this year, so it's not hard for us to maintain personal relationships now.
Okay, Name Dropper 5000 wants to know, Maddy, why didn't you throw Paris under the bus when you guys were on the block together instead of, and I'll put seemingly, their opinion, giving up?
Okay, that's totally fair. I can see why people think that I gave up. Throwing Paris under the bus would have opened up a door for Paris to say literally all the same stuff about me. Mm-hmm. So throwing Paris under the bus is essentially throwing me under the bus. I didn't find that was productive. There's not, as much as it feels like it, because every week prior there was room for kind of manipulation and social like movement when it came to keeping somebody in the house. In Final Five, it's actually kind of not really how it goes, especially with the people who are left. It was a little more straightforward. Mm-hmm. So throwing Paris under the bus, I would have said, yeah, you know, she wanted to evict you a lot. And then she would have said, yeah, she also wanted to evict you a lot. So like, where's the, I don't know. Didn't really seem to be productive for me. And I was already getting into trouble by pointing out really reasonable stuff that just happened to be facts at the time. Mm-hmm. And that made me a witch who needed to be burned at the stake. So forget any extra business to go along with it.
Okay. I want to take a question over from Twitter, actually. I'm going to go with Whitney Watson, who says, what did you think of the clip of Olivia trying to comfort you while you were crying?
What a great question. That's so funny. Okay, so that was like pretty out of context. I mean, you can talk to Liv about it, but she approached me and kind of it was fine. We had a conversation about it later, and then she had reiterated in the house a couple times, like, guys, I know it looks like I'm rolling my eyes, but it's actually my contacts. And she was actually in the DR like a couple times a day getting drops.
Oh, yeah.
So I think the look of it was probably pretty different than actually what was happening. But either way, like, who cares? I'm crying my eyes out. Like, nobody, it doesn't mean that everyone has to cry with me. It's totally fine.
Yeah, I myself, as someone who has a super expressive face that can't hide anything, has now learned to say that I have dry eyes. I have dry eyes all the time. I'm talking to people, dry eyes. I had dry eyes on the Ryan show. I'm full of dry eyes over here.
Yeah, for sure. And, and I mean, like, people express themselves differently, like you said, like, and it's so funny. My friends, as soon as I got back, they're like, what even happened there? Because generally, and I know it seems impossible to everybody watching this who knows me from this context, but I'm the Olivia in that situation all the time. Okay. And I had trouble connecting with, like, the really, like, like, for example, when Paris would be emotional, I sometimes was like, I don't know what to do right now. So generally, I am her, so it's no disrespect. It's just so weird that it was the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, with you crying, we did see you crying a lot on the show, and I want to let you speak to this, because in the beginning, again, like, we had that moment where I think a lot of the super fans felt really drawn to you when you were outside in the snow, talking, and you kind of had that heart-to-heart, and you literally said, like, family, friends, don't worry about me. Like, if you see me crying, I'm doing it on purpose. I need to, like, play this game. Like, don't feel bad for me. So then in the game, there were times when you were crying where we were like, wait, is she crying to manipulate these people? Or was it, like, real emotion? So what do you want to say on that topic?
That's an awesome question. I've explained it to, again, family and friends that were like, what was that? As about a 70-30 split. So 70% of the time, when I'm passionate about something, which is what I will actually speak to outside of the house, I'm a happy crier. Because if I'm really happy about something, it's just like, it's overwhelming. And that sort of passion cry sort of came into the house, like, way more than I thought.
Right.
But I had already cried a couple times. So when it came down to, like, deflect, it was pretty easy to just start crying again. And I mean, I did theater and stuff in and out of high school, so it was like, if I can already do this, I might as well. Johnny called me out on it in jury. He was like, girl, like, especially the week where Kayla or Allie, like, that was the whole flip-flop situation. He was like, you walked out of the room crying, and I was like, God damn, like, again? Like, girl, I know you're faking it. And I was like, yeah, well.
I have to say, the last week, when the whole thing where Paris was like, you told Kayla, and, like, I love Paris, like, up into that
like,
point.
kind of laughing? Like, I had
Okay, this is what I want to do. This is what kills me about Big Brother Canada. They are, I love Big Brother Canada almost more than BBUS, but we cannot get a damn diary room to know what you people are really thinking to save our lives. And I was like, is Maddy really upset now? Like, did you really feel in that time, oh my God, I feel horrible for what I did to Paris, which P.S. really was nothing.
Okay, well, I'll explain that kind of in two parts.
Okay.
I'll start with the second, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Later on, even in the day or perhaps later in the week, she said something to me which I don't want to throw her, like, it's not negative. She just touched on a point, which is something I confided in her later, about how, like, sometimes I get close connections to people, and I've been dinged in my personal life from them saying, oh my God, you're so manipulative. And every time I've stood there and been like, no, I'm not. Like, I actually really care about you. Right. So in a game context, it's kind of irrelevant, but that, gets into your psyche a bit. And I thought about all the other times, which apparently is not in the edit at all, which is, like, cool.
No.
That I talked, like, a lot of crap all the time. And I was like, man, like, if this is her, like, big moment about this, how's Canada seeing me? What have I done to sell myself for this $100,000? So that was, like, the main real tears, which I feel like is probably the DR reflection of it, because it ties into the story. Now, backwards to when we were actually having the altercation and Will and Paris are on the bed, I was trying not to laugh because the whole situation was just so ridiculous to me. And then they keep accusing me. They're like, you know what? Whenever you're upset, you cry all the time. And I'm like, hey, I need to fake cry right now. Like, what's wrong? Like, that's not working. But I was just laughing because the whole situation was literally so extremely stupid. Like, so stupid. So, yeah.
My favorite, like when we were on this show, because we like live and talk about the feeds pretty much every day, and my Maddy impersonation for that week, I would just go, fine, fair point. Fine, fair point. But that's all you did to Paris. Paris was like, ah, and you'd be like, fine, fair point.
Because I was literally like, okay, how soon can I go, like, have some lunch? Like, I'm over this conversation. I can't.
It was, like, very robotic. I was like, Maddy has just shut off, and she is just fine, fair pointing Paris. And all these things. But, like, I could not understand. I mean, like, I understood why Paris was getting so mad from a game standpoint. Not because I felt like she was actually mad. I felt like Paris needed something to grab onto to have a reason to have something against you so she could get you out.
Yeah, I think also she had me just so wrapped around her finger the whole game, which at times I was kind of like, I don't know about this, but because of the way that she positioned me in the house, I had no choice. Like, I couldn't jump ship. And if I did, I would have been last on anyone's bracket anyways. Regardless, okay, we can get there another time. But I think that she was always just assuming that no matter what happened ever, I would just be so extremely loyal always. But I meant it and said, when I said Final 5, no deals. Like, I was jumping ship. I was out of there. So I think she was just so amazed at the idea that I had an idea outside of one that she had decided. So that, I think, was the scandal in the whole thing as well. But she made it personal because people are more receptive when Paris was being emotional like that, which is totally smart for her game too.
And I'm sure that, I mean, speaking of jumping ship, I'm sure that you've been asked this question a bunch, but I saw you got it a ton from people here. How do you feel that there was anything more you could have done to get Will to hang on to that damn voodoo doll? Because still, that is one of the most enraging moments of the game for me. I can't imagine how it feels for you watching it back.
It's fine. It's fine. And I mean, he explained his rationalization, and I was like, I mean, it's your brain and it's your rationalization. I'm not you, so how can I judge? Except, like, hello. And I had been pretty much burned at the stake earlier in the week for counting to 5, this many, counting to 5. Can you see this? That's how many I counted to. It's what happens in Final 5, that if the 2 nominees on the block are there fighting for the veto and one of the non-nominated players wins, they can remove one of the nominated players, and therefore the only remaining potential replacement nominee is the other person. And I explained that with literally pieces of pasta, so I could be like, here it is, everyone. And it wasn't a big deal. It's happened in other seasons. It's just Big Brother, guys. It's not that exciting. But then when Kayla walks in on Paris having a meltdown and Will being all grumpy, I think it was Will in the end that spilled that was like my master diabolical scheme to get out Derek. And I was like, wow, that's why the whole entire week I was like, this is just so ridiculous and I'm a robot because of all the crap that I did, because I made hundreds of mistakes this game. It was a garbage fire. It was not good. But of all the things, this is what's going to nail me, is that I counted to 5. So then coming back to the veto, here I am on the sidelines, like, as soon as Derek starts to talk, I try to talk over him. But again, I have to kind of mind my manners because in the case that Kayla or Derek does win the veto, you want to be able to have some room there. But I want it to be like, Will, you don't need to throw it because if you win, you're already in Final 4. But I was already so just like a witch for coming up with the final or with the 5 number thing. So for me to point out that Final 4, they would have been like, that's amazingly diabolical scheme situation. Mental threat.
Oh, God. I feel like that's just what they had to say to have a reason to get you out.
It's possible too. I mean, it's like there's got to be something like that because honestly, after all that, like, really, guys.
It's not to say that you weren't. You were. Like, you were very strategic and you knew a lot. And they should have been, like, concerned about you in those areas. But I just feel like they were, like, we need to get rid of Maddy. That's going to be our reason. Okay, that's our reason. Are we all on the same page? Let's just all make that be our reason together. It just seemed like, oh, Will, you're killing me in that moment. Okay, if Kayla, you got this question a ton too. If Kayla had won the final HOH and cut Derek, so still the same outcome where it's Paris versus Kayla, would that have changed your vote at all?
So we're talking Paris and Kayla, final 2, and Kayla cuts Derek?
But yeah, so Kayla was the one who won out in the end and cut Derek.
I vote for Kayla.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Surprised everyone. But boy, oh boy, are people not going to believe that. They're going to say, oh my God, you got onto a podcast and you talked about it and like you're so like a liar. And I'm like, sick.
You can't.
Not in my head, so.
I would not worry about those people.
Trust, I'm not.
Darcy Saint Amant says, how much influence do you feel you had with the jury?
Okay, good question, because I think there's kind of polarizing opinions of this, and I don't get super deep into it. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit more obsessed with my own real life and catching up. But from what I know, it seems like some people are like, wow, Maddy played harder in the jury house than she did this entire season, completely twisted their minds into making Paris win, versus they never respected her opinion and they knew she had an agenda, so they never listened. Combination of both, to tell the truth. I really didn't go in there. As much as Paris did have that conversation and quote unquote to some people weaponized me to go into the jury, I was receptive to her talk. But in the end, I was like, I'm not playing anymore in the house. So as much as I'd love you to win, Paris, like personally, I'm not here to tell people to vote for you necessarily. Are we lagging? Sorry, my computer.
No, you're totally good.
Okay,
I'll let you know if there's any issue.
Okay, sounds good. So as much as I did voice my opinions on pro-Paris points in the jury, to be honest, my bigger goal was to say, hey guys, I talked to Kayla before I left and to Derek, and I was surprised to see how sort of self-centric Kayla felt like her game was. And I mean, I didn't play directly with her, Olivia and Allie, I know you did, and she's taking credit for things that I, to my observation, saw you guys doing. And I wouldn't be surprised if she was to, you know, I don't want to say the word arrogance because I don't know if I find Kayla arrogant, but I just think her look at her game was a little more Kayla oriented than it should have been. So I warned Allie and Liv, and I'm sure it was more aggressive at the time because you're still in Big Brother brain and everything. But I was like, look, I bet you this is what she'll say. And they were like, no, I doubt it. And I was like, okay, well, just see. And, you know, Ryan mentioned that was relentless campaigning against Kayla. No, I told them what I saw. And I also told them what I heard from Derek, which to me was a way more well-rounded look at how his game was and how the game went and his influence. So that's what I talked about.
Interesting. All right, I'm going to take a turn. We have so many questions for you, Maddy. Oh, my God. No, I'm going to take a turn and just say, I'm going to take this from Spurs fan over on Twitter. If you had to pick one guy to be in a showman's, who would it have been with?
Do I have to?
You do, because I think I know what you're going to say. Okay,
well, here's the thing. I did, and I mean, I was very vocal. Like, I wanted a showman's. And this is another reason why people are like, you're jealous of Kayla's game, which I'll reiterate. Yes, I am. But jealousy doesn't always make people do nasty things. I can be good-naturedly envious at her awesome game. Anyway, so I looked around kind of at the contenders, and I mean, Will and I got along right away because, first of all, I understood what he was saying faster because I have lived in Newfoundland before.
Okay.
I worked in bars there, so the lingo was easy. So I suppose after that, I guess I would have chosen him. But then within a day and a half, I realized that he had a temper. So for that, I was like, no. And then I kind of chatted with Jesse a bit. And he was like awesome, and I'm still good friends with him. He is so funny. But when it came to like being clicked into the game, he kind of didn't really seem to have that.
Okay.
And then at that point, that was kind of it in the first couple of days. I told myself beyond anything that I would try to be adaptable, which I applied to my game for the first little while and then completely forgot about apparently. But that's okay. So that was my adaptation, saying, all right, I guess showmance isn't in the cards for you. Big Brother didn't give you the tools, so move on.
All right, so then I'm going to take this kind of as a follow-up question then from Marinara BB Can 4 says, Maddy, are you still willing to meet Will's friend who he wants to set you up with?
We talked about this on the phone today. That is so funny.
Oh, good, because I have something I need to tell you, but go ahead.
Okay, sure. Why not is my answer to that.
Okay, can you please just make sure it's not the friend that puts puppies in Ziploc bags?
Oh my God! Yes, I'll make sure.
Okay, please make sure it's not that one, Maddy.
That can't be true.
Or the one that punches cats in the face.
Okay, well that one obviously.
Will has a lot of friends that.
Way blown out of proportion. I don't think that's actually the situation.
Well, I hope so. Will, your friends Will are very mean.
I think and also like Will's a very he tells a story.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something to take into consideration when hearing a story from William. There's perhaps embellishments, although I'll hear Will stories all day. I find them entertaining, but
he's very entertaining. I just thought it was funny. Let me go over to Audrey L. says, what was going through your mind during jury questioning, specifically Kayla yelling at all of you and calling you big babies?
I think, and I know this is because, like, admittedly and on purpose, my question was to entice Paris into a good answer, because should Paris have ended up in Final 2, of course I wanted her to do well. I know that people hate that answer because she was just so horrible to me, and I knew her game best out of everybody as I played it for a good majority only really with her. So to show that her game was good was what I wanted. But sorry, what was the original question? I'm always quick to jump on that one.
What was the original question? God, if I remember.
Jury questioning. I'm so sorry.
What did you think of Kayla kind of like yelling at you guys and being like, you're all babies?
Okay, so, I mean, first of all, perhaps not ideal for that to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fact that people are like, well, she called the jury babies and they got upset, and then they didn't vote for her. Don't know if it was that extreme, everyone. I'm pretty sure it was the whole context of the entire conversation topped up with the cherry of babies. It was not great, but was that the moment that everyone decided to vote for Paris instead? I don't think so. It was, it's hard when you're under pressure and you say things kind of like, not out of context, but in a way that maybe you wouldn't have originally if it was less pressure.
Right.
So I think it was like not ideal, but I don't know if it's that big of a deal to everybody.
Okay, so then let's go over here. Kathy P in the chat room says, Kayla seemed to have the most evicted house guests this season when they left the house. But what changed the mind, or what made the jury decide to vote for Paris? Was it that? So I guess she's trying to nicely say, do you feel that people voted for Kayla because they were bitter? Or against Kayla?
First of all, I think that if there was to be a bitter vote in the jury, it would have been for Allie and Liv and perhaps Johnny to not vote for Paris, because they were very scandalized, Allie especially, about Paris deciding not to keep Allie. So that to me would have been bitter. Honestly, I think the fact that Kayla evicted us was... I mean, I can't speak on behalf of the jury, so I'll speak on behalf of myself. I think that like kind of was like part of the journey, I guess. Somebody has to evict you if you're in jury. I think that for us to be like, well, you evicted us, so we're not going to vote for you, is like totally not the tone of what the jury house was like.
Yeah, and I didn't think it was either. I think a lot of people kind of felt like the three of you, meaning you and Johnny, and I think Will, I guess, is who I think people would say were the three. They felt like we're going to decide, but you need four to decide. So I don't really agree with that logic.
With counting, it's going to make you too smart. You better watch out.
I know. Nicole, I have no idea, but I guess I'm being given the question, so we're taking it. Nicole wants to know, Maddie, what does the house smell like?
Oh, thanks, Nicole. I actually saw that on my Twitter really briefly. I don't particularly know from the day-to-day, but I will give you a small bit of insight on certain days what the house smelled like. For example, on day 45, when we had the RE Screecher a little bit there, it smelled like dirty-ass frozen cod. It was disgusting. And it smelled like that for like a little while, because that cod was humongous, and it was real, and it was very dead and very smelly. And then when we had the Wendy's challenge on day 39, it smelled like lettuce for like a day and a half, because we cut a lot of lettuce.
Okay. Melissa L wants to know, have you seen the clip yet of Johnny going off on Olivia about putting you up during the double?
I mean, I saw like a quick kind of little like blip of it and being like, Maddie will not touch this block. And like literally all my friends are like, yay, Johnny. And I'm like, yeah, especially in that moment, except later, like Johnny and I had not a problem, but like we just disagreed on the week where Kayla and Allie were up. But
I gotta say, we didn't get it. We didn't get it a lot of the time as fans, because we were like, these two were ride or die. Johnny is literally snapping in people's faces to make sure, and then like later, he's not. And also, to be fair, you weren't, obviously, because you have to for game. But
and I think that either of us, like, we talked about this in jury, and it was even then like kind of inconclusive. I don't quite know what stopped either of us from saying like, never mind everyone else, we might as well. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that he was really partial to Will, and also knew that when it came down to it, Will would probably be more loyal than I would and easier to beat. Not always true. If it was a physical competition, Will probably would have beaten me. But I think that was part of my skepticism, too, of the closeness between Will and Johnny. And as the game progressed, you could tell that was, like, really there. And also, he was so close with Erica, who was very vocal about wanting me out as well. So it just, like, wasn't super sensible. I should have tried to make that plunge and just saw what happened. But, again, didn't do it. Can't change it.
Okay, so I want to, I like, first of all, everyone, we have, like, 20 minutes left.
That's it? Oh
on
God.
this show. I mean, we can go a little longer if you want to go a little longer. I can't believe how many questions are flooding in
so cool. Thanks,
for
everybody.
Maddie. Keith S. wants to know, why does Maddie occasionally speak in a Jenna Marbles accent? Are you a fan of Jenna Marbles?
Everybody, please let her know. I am such a huge fan of her, and I didn't realize that I was speaking that voice until one of my coworkers before I was on the show called me out on it, and I was like, oh my God, I actually am doing that. And I never meant to take credit for it. I never meant to put it as part of my personality. And Paris loves her too. Like, I don't know. And once you're with somebody, and Olivia's a huge fan, once we all kind of realized that we knew what it was easier to like say things in that voice. Yes, but I love her so much. She's amazing.
Exactly. Okay, Darcy Saint Amant. Now, Darcy, I was like going to bat for you in other interviews, and now I'm just starting to feel like you're doing this with everybody. But Darcy Saint Amant says, as one of the most beautiful women this season, I'm just going to tell you, he's called some of the other ones the most beautiful season. As one of the most beautiful women this season, do you feel the other women were jealous and didn't want to play with you?
Nope. Sorry, Darcy. I know you were looking for drama. One issue that I don't know if I necessarily had for real, because now I'm kind of like learning more about early weeks and who said what.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes initially, and it doesn't continue, I don't have an immediate click with some women, whether it doesn't have to do anything with looks, but I think it's clear that I'm not going to just like be bossed around right away in one conversation. And not that intimidates or puts a bad perspective. Sometimes it just throws them off a little bit. I look pretty sweet and like, passive. And regardless of what the game showed in my real life, I'm not nearly like that. So I think that throws them off a bit. So jealous, I don't know, but a little thrown off that the looks sometimes don't match what's being said, maybe.
Got you. Okay. 68 Smiles asked, do you, Maddie, for your game, do you still think that it was smart to keep Kayla in the game instead of Allie?
So that's kind of a two-part answer. In the house, I stood by that decision big time. Again, it's a little bit, like a little shaky to say, because as I spoke to Allie in jury, she was she was able to fully say, I would have put up Will and Paris in the triple. I would have this, I would have that. It's hard to say because until the moment actually happens, it's hard to imagine what's actually true. But in jury, you don't really have to play anymore, so I'm inclined to believe her, but who knows. Anyways, when it came down to it, I could not trust that Allie wouldn't use me as the first option for collateral damage, regardless if her plan was to keep me to be easier and like an easier playing field. So keeping Kayla at Final 5, honestly, if I would have won that Final 5 HOH, which I don't want to dwell on because I didn't win it, shit would have been real different, let me tell you. So it's fine. I'm fine with that. I can sleep at night with keeping her.
Okay, so two things. First, I meant to tell you, Ryan has been in the chat room watching this whole time, but he is now mad and said Darcy never called me beautiful. So they're working that out over in the chat room. I saw that you got this a lot. I apologize for not giving a name of someone in the chat room, but you got this question a lot. How would things have been different had you stayed in? You got that a ton. Like what do you think, how would you have gone forward had you not been the one who was evicted?
That's sorry, so I would have continued on in Final 4?
Right.
Okay. So likely based on what they've told me about the HOH, which again, we still do not know if I would have won or not won.
Right. Let's say you would have.
So if I would have, to keep waters calm initially, because it doesn't really matter who is on the block during Final 4, it would have been Derek and Kayla, whatever.
Okay.
okay, wait. So then Paris would have been evicted instead of me.
Right.
So at that point, Derek would have been my biggest obstacle because in the competitions that I have done the best in, he is generally the person who has beaten me. So I think I would have had to grab Kayla and be like, look, girl, like, he's both of our biggest obstacles right now. And I get that you want to cut him at final 3, but we got to figure this out together. And I'm already in final 3, so we'll see. Hopefully she would have cut him, or hopefully I could have won that final 4 veto, which I heard was super awesome. I can't wait to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would have had a choice to cut Kayla or Derek. And I guess, I would have kept Will for sure. I would have ideally liked to stand next to Will in final 2 because honestly, I think he's the only person I could have beaten.
Okay.
So I would have probably wanted to cut Derek instead of Kayla, and then tried my damn best to win against Kayla in that final 3 HOH. Who knows what would have happened? Then I would have cut Kayla and cut Will.
Okay, good. I don't. Do you think there's any scenario where anyone in that jury, just in your opinion, anyone in that jury would have voted for Will? I don't care who he was sitting next to.
I think Will is a sensational person and had his merits, but no, I do not think. I think Will would have played a great $20,000 game.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Will is amazing. I think he's funny, hysterical, great dad, all those things, but shit game Will. Somebody
say the same about me. I'm not out here to rub it in anybody else, but at the same time, I think when it came to one or the other, they would have been perhaps unhappy about it, but I think I would have gotten the prize in the end.
No, I think against Will, anybody would have, but I think I kind of thought everybody's goal was to kind of bring Will to the end to guarantee it.
And that was a confusion that I had with Kayla, but I get her rationalization for sure. Derek was going to take him, so was everybody else, so might as well get him out and give her a better chance of making it to final 2, which ended up working.
Mm-hmm.
So for sure, yeah, to me, just Derek was such an obstacle, but I probably was just really fixated on that. I was impressed by the learning curve of his game, so that was part of it. Plus, he kept beating me, and it was super annoying, so yeah.
Cheater. That was Lila G who wanted to know what you would have done. Steph9710 says, were you able to tell the jury everything you wanted to when you got there? You had said that you were going to try and, plead almost Paris's case, I think, but if that's not right, correct me. Did you get to tell them everything you wanted to tell them when you got there? Okay,
good question, Steph. I had give or take 5 days. There was other things we had to do, so kind of 5 days in the jury house. Yeah, that's enough time. I came there to listen as much as I did talk. Like I said, there's that juxtaposition of people saying that I manipulated the jury, which and people that said I didn't have an influence at all. We all influence each other. We're there to compare notes. And as much as the first day you're in there, especially because you come off of media questions,
mm-hmm.
and that's one thing I'd like to mention as well. During my media day even,
mm-hmm.
I started in a different headspace and I left in a completely separate headspace, because you find out more, even though the interviews are unbiased, you're still so much information. So when you get to the jury house, you're looking for that information exchange as well. So as much as I had lots to say about all of the final 3, because they all played great games, I was there to listen as well. I hope that came across. They're probably like, no, you didn't. But
again, even if you did or didn't, that's the game. So I
could have sat there and napped for 5 days. That was my prerogative anyway, whatever.
Ryan. He told us. He said he was very nappy and staying away from all of you. Look, and a lot of people, I don't know if they remember this, your preseason interview and Kayla's are the only 2 that I remember that stood out with me. Kayla's because I thought she was most likely to punch someone in the face. I believe that was after watching her interview, I guess it was with E.T. or I forget who they were with, but whatever. And yours, I was really touched by your story of I'm writing the check over to my dad. This isn't for me. The win's not for me. And
I'm glad that came across in other interviews, because my bio for the actual show, I was like, no. I said so much other good stuff, and they were like, haha, in the garbage. We're not doing that. So thank you for bringing that.
That did. It did. And that did. I know a lot of people don't like that. I think as much as I think I would not be an emotional player, I would be a super emotional player. So that totally spoke to me in the preseason interviews. Whitney wants to know, you said that Olivia was the hardest person to live with while you were in the house. Did your opinion of her change in jury or now?
Oh, that's too bad. Thank you, Whitney. That's a good question. It's funny that translates as my opinion of her. It's not my opinion of her. I think she's wonderful. Then they asked, like, literally, who wouldn't you live with again? Mm-hmm. First of all, I didn't have an immediate answer, so I had to think along the context of, like, well, living with someone. Liv, it took you 40, I think it was day 41. She had to figure out how to use the coffee maker for the first time.
Right.
Girl. But she's also very open about how she's never had roommates. She's never had this and that. And when I was, I think I moved out when I was 17 for university. Like, I didn't know any of that stuff either. And she's only 22. But if I had to, like, literally pick and choose a roommate out of those people, perhaps one with more experience.
Right.
But she was, she made it that delicious meal of hot dogs and Cheerios and bits of fries that day. So, redeeming quality.
She is my favorite human to watch.
Okay, I'm going to watch the season over. And first of all, I'm going to pretend that that's not me on the TV because I can't. I'll be drunk probably the whole time. But I know that Allie and Liv are going to be my favorite characters on the show. I know.
They are. They are hands down. I feel like they were the funniest. But you lose so much in the edited show. I wish you guys had the ability, like our feeds, to go back and watch. Allie and Liv on the feeds are drop dead hysterical. I just want to study Liv sometimes. She's like so funny. So funny. And she doesn't mean to be.
Today. And we were talking about, I hope that's fun. We're talking about going to Wonderland soon. And she was like, well, not going. She didn't say it like this, but she's like, I always get a fast pass. So I hope we get a fast pass. And I was like,
there you go.
But it's just, I can hear it in Liv's voice. It's like, well, we'll get a fast pass for sure. It doesn't say anything to like her personality. It's just, I love how she's like, okay, this. Yeah. And so like dry about everything. And actually, I don't know if it ever made it on the feeds, but one of the days before the triple, she was in the shower. And again, she was in the shower. She probably just finished a nap. I'm just kidding. And I looked at her and I said, Liv, do you think it would have been different if we would have slept in different rooms? And she said, absolutely yes. We get along so well. It just, whatever happened in that first week or so, which now I'm finding out was Paris, whatever that was, just set us apart. And she tried to work with me and I considered working with her, but by that point it was too late. So
I will have you know, I asked Liv the question I'm going to ask you in a minute, which is, who do you regret not working with in this game? And her answer was Maddy.
No kidding. Mine is absolutely Liv, hands down.
She said she thought it was the bedrooms as well. She said the bedrooms really kind of hindered that, but her biggest regret was not working more with you in
We could have sailed. Like, it would have been great. And Johnny, too, because Johnny and I had a connection and Johnny and Liv had a connection that would have bridged the gap. And probably Erica, too, because, I mean, whatever happened with Erica earlier on and me being like, no, and we didn't like catch right away, I guess. But Erica's wonderful. She's such a strong girl, so it would have been nice to be part of that as well. But it's to my error and to Rooms. It's to lots of things. Big Brother's, it is what it is.
I see you got this question a lot, and oh God, the answer could change everything. Do you feel that handing Andrew the goblet on night one, if you could have done it differently and you kept it, do you feel like that would have changed the whole entire game? I mean, obviously.
Okay, well, yes, it would have changed the entire game. To be honest, if I'm to go back and think about what I would have done, I can't answer that because there were strangers on that first day. I have no idea anything about them, this and that. How I would have categorized them, I don't know. But I didn't realize that I was handing Andrew the only cup with the blue on it. I was not that aware. When I looked at it, I did notice that I saw more red cups than anything else. And I just thought, well, I'll just keep the familiar one. But maybe there were 6 or 7. Maybe I hadn't really even looked at the other side. Like, it was not a full awareness. But I did realize that when it came down to the 2 I was holding, I kept the one that I knew more about. Okay. So, yeah.
Carol Davis Anderson says, how fun was bedtime in the White Room? It really was the best feeds. And I'm so glad. I'll just say this. Oh my God, chat room. I'll let her know after. They're wanting me to tell you how you can watch the feeds. We'll talk about it after. So what was bedtime like in the White Room?
Okay, regardless of who was left in there, because even when it was just me, Will, and Paris, we had moments that it was so fun too. It was one of my favorite parts about being in the house, and I'm glad that enough people kind of saw it because, man, it was a farce like all the time. When Veronica got up and Will would fart and she was like, "Misery loves company" with her pillow. I loved hearing the stories. Ryan and I shared so many laughs in there because our like inside joke humor worked to the best dynamic. It was one of the few times that, of course, game was never off. We were able to kind of socialize a little bit more than we ever could in the house. So it was so much fun. I wish it could have, like, I want to look up all those clips, but I won't because YouTube is a cesspool.
That's everything's on YouTube, including the feeds. Maddie, BB Little 2 says, Maddie, looking back now, do you still think that going on the show was worth it? Wouldn't it be worth it?
Totally. Thank you for the question, for sure. I think the fact that, I mean, the best way to explain my game when I think about it was a garbage fire. There was many times that I made humongous errors and that continued to snowball, yet the cutoff was a little annoying. Anyways, whatever. So, of course it was worth it. I am so much more intense of a fan than I ever have been before. And there's all kinds of different fans, and we're all, you know, just because you believe one thing doesn't make you more or less of a fan as another. And I think that now, if there's another season of Big Brother Canada, they're going to be like my little children, like, guys, it's going to be okay. And yeah, it was totally worth it.
And look, I'll just say this because I feel like you're being a little too hard on yourself. You might, I mean, it's Big Brother. I wouldn't say your game was a dumpster fire. You had to go with what was happening. And I mean, people don't make it as far into the game as you made it into the game by not playing a good game.
I wish I would have vocalized my thoughts. Okay, I did a lot. Like, I talked about myself personally a lot to the cameras. But I wish I would have sometimes said things that I was thinking, because there was, for like even the second half of the game, I couldn't really vocalize my thoughts to Will and Paris anymore because I didn't know where they were going. And a good example of times that I wish I would have vocalized, maybe to get myself a little bit more credit with feeders, is like when Johnny was telling all of us that we saved him. And I was like, okay, something here doesn't add up, everyone, if you want to just pause for a second. If we think that we saved Johnny, and Allie and Liv think they saved Johnny, do you think maybe Johnny's telling all of us we saved him? But I never said that. And Will and Paris, and maybe they're thinking that as well, and I don't know. It's just a transparent conversation we had. Yeah, we saved him. We're like, we made this move. We're move makers. And I was like, I don't know if this is ours, guys. I think this might be Johnny playing everyone. But I should have said that, because now looking back, everyone's like, oh, well, you know, it's easy to say now. I'm like, no, at the time I thought that. There were multiple times that I was like, same thing. Actually, here's a good thing that I haven't mentioned yet. During 1, 2, 3, the double eviction, day 27, when I saw that Olivia was not choosing Kayla and Derek, I was like, something's wrong. Something doesn't make sense here. But then everything got all crazy and all this and that, and you're hearing this information and that. But in the back of my mind, I always thought about that competition being like, something was a giveaway there. And I don't know. There's so many little things that I noticed that I should have vocalized. But
well, let me say this. Speaking of vocalizing things, we only have 10 minutes left, everyone. We have 10 minutes, and we're even going over with 10 minutes left. So I want to remind everybody quickly, make sure you guys become a fan if you're not yet on YouNow, so that you are alerted every single time we go live. And of course, the #1 fan on this show is winning Maddie's autograph in 10 minutes. Currently, it's Sandy is the #1 fan. Congratulations, Sandy. But I want to take this question you got from a lot of people as well. It says, do you feel that being a super fan helped or hindered your game? And as a super fan, what advice would you give to future super fans going in to play the game?
Great question to anybody who asked that. I'm excited to answer. So I think it's both. For example, being a super fan and spending a fair amount of times on the feeds, or at least understanding how the active feeders were, taking in the content. I understood sometimes that saying things to the full degree that I felt them when it came to my opinions of the other people was not a good idea. First of all, because you get dinged and sometimes your real life is affected. And second of all, because if I needed to backpedal, it was best to just not take it to the full degree. So I enjoyed that. I also had a good concept of when feeds would be down and feeds would be on. So just like game talk wise, it was sensible.
Right.
Now, a super fan hindered me because I had expectations for myself that were honestly, for me and who I am as a person, I found out just not attainable. I thought I was gonna, like every mental comp, I was like, I'm gonna win, like all these things. I knew I would be crappy at physical, but anyways, so that super fan expectations of myself, I not only imposed on myself mentally pre-season, but I vocalized to everyone saying, hey, I'm your super fan this year. I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that. And then I wasn't able to pull it off, and I know I disappointed so many people, so that's unfortunate. So if I'm to give advice to a super fan, feel free to vocalize it. Be proud of who you are. This is a beautiful, incredible game, and it means so much to so many people. So don't ever feel like you need to hide that about yourself. Within the game, that's up to you, but when you're speaking to people, but your expectations of yourself should be so that you, no matter what, feel like your experience there is going to be positive. Right. I do, because I have a reasonable attitude, I think, and I have a good sense of humor, especially post-game. Like, this has been fun, guys. But yeah, so just keep your expectations to yourself as much as reasonable as you can, and know when the feeds are going to be on and off, because that's important sometimes.
And usually always off.
They really can, everyone.
They really can. No, I have to say, they were on a lot. They were only off pretty much for your parties. Okay, I don't understand this question. I'm going to hope that it's a joke. It's from Keith S., and he says, does Maddy still believe that her peasant hands are well equipped for labor?
I do understand this question. Okay, Keith, thank you for bringing this up. I'm going to heat for this, and I am not sorry, because I went on a sarcastic rant one day. And I sat in the White Room and friggin' ranted, because I was just in a mood that day about all these things, and Paris and I had kind of like joked with each other about the entitlement level in the house, which sometimes seemed high, and I'm sure I had my moments too, and let me say that I started that rant first and foremost making fun of myself, so haters to the left. But I went along being like, don't worry everyone, my peasant hands are well equipped to do your dishes. In their defense, I never cooked, because I don't cook things. I make sandwiches. So fine, whatever. I didn't cook for people. But like all these things, I just went on this rant. Like, Paris is the house masseuse. Like, God forbid Paris has a sore back, because she's got masseuse duties for everyone. It was a venting session. And to be honest, I often went to DR to have these vent sessions. So it was one of the rare times that I sat down actually in the house and did it. Right. And I just think that it was a very mixed reaction. But my friends and family have been like showing me that clip over and over again. And they're like, girl, this is actually you. Like, where were you all season?
Okay. I love that. I love that answer. You got this last year. What was it like meeting Kevin on Alumni weekend? Because we know you are such a huge fan of Kevin. Yeah.
Oh my God. And that whole, like, to me, the literal funniest part about coming out of this house is that people legitimately did not think that I knew that he had won in season 5. Like, people legit did not think that. And they're like, how dare you call yourself a super fan? The degree to which I know Kevin's game is like kind of annoying, I think, because I've listened to all of his podcasts and stuff, to the point where on day 19, when they had the actual museum exhibits in, I barely read his plaque and was eliminated in the next day for his question, because I knew on day 49 in season 3 was the triple eviction. I knew on day 55 in season 5 was a triple eviction, and I knew that he had spent 118 days in the house. So meeting him was kind of like, I mean, they're people. I starstruck isn't quite the right word, but I was like, it's so great to meet you. Like, honor to meet you. Sorry I like threw like crappy shade under pressure of Arissa, which is like not how I meant it. Like, of course you're amazing. I'm just saying.
He threw shade back at you.
I know, it was amazing. And he was like, win, I know, and see what happens. And I was like, for sure. Oh my God. It was the same thing that I said to him. It was all fine. And we laughed about it. It was whatever.
Super humble Kevin.
He did so well. He killed it. It's fine.
Okay. No, I am glad. I am glad that he lived up to that when you met him. What, God?
Sorry, and Peely, his girlfriend, is like
Right.
a literal angel sent
Love
from
her.
heaven above. And if he was any kind of awful in any way, I'm sure she would have no time for it. She's sensational. So redeeming
Sure.
quality from heaven is.
Okay. Rafe S., who is a huge fan of you, wants to know, are there any planned fan meet and greets? Because a lot of people didn't get to meet you on finale weekend. So do you have any planned meet and greets?
As of right now, I actually don't. I spoke to Veronica a little bit about it, and I'll see her probably tomorrow or Wednesday. So if any places in Ottawa are interested in hosting a meet and greet for us, let us know. I haven't personally reached out anywhere yet because I've been a little selfish and focused on my own circles of friends, I guess. But I'd be happy to do a meet and greet, and I know that Veronica would be down as well. So Ottawa bars, clubs, or coffee shops, if you're interested in having us, let us know, and we can figure something out. I'd love to meet people who supported me. Thank you so much.
Okay. Confer Peace wants to know, are you planning on watching the Big Brother 20 live feeds? And if you are, she hopes that you'll come back here and talk Big Brother 20 with us. So are you planning to watch?
I would like to. Summertime sometimes is hectic. In my regular life, I'm a server and a bartender, so summer is hot time for us. I will do my best to, if I don't watch the live feeds, I follow lots of feed watcher accounts on Twitter, so I try to keep caught up. If I have the energy and the mental stamina to go through a season of Big Brother, I will happily be actively engaging with all of you guys about it. I love to do that.
Okay, love it. We have a 24/7 Twitter account here at Reality Recaps that just updates the live feeds, literally 24/7 on Twitter. So easy. And we have Flashback Times page, which shows like all the best moments from the day. So we got you covered. Okay, I'm going to take this last question from our town, and he wants to know, is there anything you learned about yourself coming out of this game that you didn't know about yourself going into it?
What was the name of the person who asked
Our town.
Our town. Our town, thank you for asking that, because the answer is a hard yes. Coming into this house, I legitimately thought that my inner self, although had lots of love for family and friends, was cold as ice. I thought I was impartial, and my inner self might have been kind of crappy. But then playing this game, it was legitimately surprising to me and a lot of my close friends to find that I was not shitty, and that I'll default to loyalty and to heart and to sensitivity even when put through like dire straits. So that was mind-boggling to me, and I guess it's a nice thing to learn. I mean, lots of friends and family said, yeah, we knew that all along. Why is that a surprise to you? I'm like, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, I definitely learned that, so thanks for asking.
Okay, so now here's what I want to do. I want to give you have hundreds and hundreds of fans in here watching you live right now at this moment. So I want to give you full screen to say whatever you want to say to all your friends watching here. However, I will tell you, just to know your audience, a lot of people are getting very mad at you in this chat room. They don't like you putting down your game because you made it to Final 5. I saw a lot of them getting very upset with you that you are discrediting your game. So you're not allowed to discredit your game.
Well,
when you give your message to your fans, the floor is yours, Maddy.
Thank you. Okay, ooh, look at all this. Okay, so I will start off with saying, hey, fans that are supporting my game, I appreciate that, and thank you so much. My tendency is to have a sense of humor about everything, and self-deprecation doesn't always mean that I don't see the good side as well. It's just, it's funny. I went on a reality TV show, and I'm happy to make a joke out of it, and I'm happy to see the lighter side of everything. So I appreciate your support, and don't think that I don't hear it. Don't think I'm not receiving it and feeling it, and I see the messages. I'm going to try to get to the messages, and you're awesome. Thank you so much. The fact that I could play this show was a dream come true, and the fact that people were invested in me and that people may have seen parts of themselves in me, I'm mind blown still, and I will never get over that. Thank you so much for participating. And now here I am outside of the show doing something outside of the show, and you guys are still listening. I'm amazed. Please don't get on any of the other house guests, regardless of who it is, about their gameplay to do with me. I appreciate the defense and everything, but it's a game, guys, and the Big Brother house was all that existed to me for 62 days and beyond. And now we're in the real world, and it's all about, taking everything with a grain of salt, having fun with everything. If you wanted me to take myself super seriously, I'm sorry to disappoint, but that's just not who I am outside of this house. And I really love that people are still invested. Thank you so much. And reach out if you want to.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because speaking of reaching out outside of the house, let's go over where you want people to follow you on social media. So obviously Twitter right above you. Is that still good, Maddy BBCan6?
Yes.
Okay, what about other
Of course,
socials?
I don't really plan to change it.
Okay.
Instagram, I believe it's MadPopBBCan6. I'm most active on Instagram. To be honest, Twitter sometimes gets a little like gummed up on my phone. So if you're looking to make an impact and have me engage with you, Instagram is a place to go. I love Instagram the way it works. Besides that, I mean, I'm trying to keep it sort of isolated to those two socials. If I decide to make Snap kind of more a part of my deal, I will advertise that on both of those avenues. So that's that.
Perfect. We will put the links to Maddy's social media down below on the edited show when you guys are watching this back. Congratulations, Kelly McFour. You're the #1 fan.
Kelly! Yes!
Congratulations, Kelly. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Don't forget, you can watch this show back later on our website. We'll see you back here tomorrow night with Paris. Again, Maddy, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
No problem, anytime. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody. Patrons, we'll see you in 1 minute. Bye, guys.
Peace.